us for the first time, my name is Susanna Simpson. I'm the founder and co-director of Performance Poets. And along with Judy Ireland, we want to welcome you to our monthly poetry reading series. Since 2014, Performance Poets of the Palm Beaches has been hosting poetry readings in Palm Beach County with featured poets followed by an open mic. And now because of Zoom, we are able to expand our audience reach and invite poets from other regions. However, South Florida has a very robust poetry scene, and we have been and continue to be committed to providing a performance showcase for our talented local poets. And two of those poets will be reading for us today. Do we have any poetry announcements? Anybody have an announcement, publication, or event or something they'd like to tell us about? Bueller? Nobody? Okay. Stacy, did you have something?
No, thank you.
Okay. All righty. So we welcome all poets, lovers of poetry, and lovers of poets. Our featured readers read for approximately 20 to 25 minutes. And when we get to the open mic, we ask that you confine yourself to 5 minutes or 2 poems, so that everyone on the open mic, we have a full open mic today, which is great. So we just ask people not to hog the mic so that everybody gets a chance. Okay, so let us get started. And Judy, I just realized that I'm going to have to ask you to read the bios. For whatever reason, I don't have them here. I am sorry.
I think I sent them to your emails, but I'll grab it real quick and do it.
Yeah, I'll pull them up. If you want to wait, I'll just get it. I know you need to mind the door, so let me just grab real quickly. Thought I had everything. I apologize.
It's been like a week ago. I sent them about a week.
No, I'm sure it's there. I just need to find it. Okay, let me check. Yeah, I apologize, Judy. I can't find them.
I just sent them, so you've got them.
All right.
in your...
Okay, sure enough. Talk among yourselves. Let me just get this pulled up here. Okay.
Did we send out a missing persons on Birdman? Where is he?
Yeah.
He actually let us know that he's doing something this time that he couldn't be here, which is so unusual, but he wanted us to know that he was thinking about us, but can't be here today.
I seem to recall he said he was going to be in California.
That sounds right.
Hey, I remembered something.
Well done. Well done. Okay. I apologize for the delay. Let me just get this done, and then we will continue on. And Lucia, you're going to go first, right? That's what you prefer?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Get involved with my printer. There we go. All right, here we go. Lúcia Leão is a translator and a writer originally from Rio de Janeiro. Her poems have been published in South Florida Poetry Review Journal, Swim Every Day, Gyroscope Review, the Blue Mountain Review, among others. Her work is included in the anthology Grabbed, Poets and Writers on Sexual Assault, Empowerment and Healing. She is a board member of the Cream Literary Alliance, a nonprofit organization based in West Palm Beach, Florida, and a reviewer for Rhino magazine. And with that, we give you Lucia.
Thank you, Judy and Susanna, for inviting me to read today. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Before I start, I just want to say that I feel that my poetry feels very fictional. I think I write fiction in poetry. So most of the time, the I is not me and the people are not real. And it's not unnecessary to say that, but I don't know, for some reason, it felt important to say it. So I'm gonna start with a group of 3 poems. And the first one is called Screenplay. It was my father who told me not to write about him. Give voice to someone else who is not like me. Talk about your sisters. Tell about your brother. I memorized his memoirs, each letter peeling off his chest. His EKG graphs, a sea of breaking waves, a dash with no end. This one is called Matrix. I am insecure in my weight. The soul is heavy, the body complains. My mother was the ruler and taught us how to eat, how to write. In devotion to doubts, we were measured religiously every day. There's one missing. Just one moment. Since second, I want to read one now, and I think it's here. Yes, it's called Someone's Son. Because I couldn't tell him our family secrets, I would give him others. Not all, not always, but often. He would pretend not to get the game, but the story sustained a cosmic thread between us. It started like a startle, his brain learning to signify names enveloped in characters. Later, his postcards would arrive full of names and names of places scratched out. And I wondered. I like to start poems with the title. I mean, the title is the first line of the poem. And this is the case of this one, which is quite recent, and it's still a mystery to me, this poem. And I thought if I could read it today would be helpful. So anyway, the title is My Body Ages at Night. My body ages at night, and mornings open me to revisions. In the dictionary of seeds, the entry to you resists. To the brightness of Helianthus, I attached a column, expanded explanation, a container of colors. Sunflower, you could be the one who would strip me yellow. You could be the one who rewrites me, darkness-provoking spores budding in the core. I have many poems about sisters and brothers. I do have a brother and 2 sisters who live in Brazil, and I miss them. But I feel, as I said, that most of the time I'm not writing about them. Really, I'm writing about sisters and, you know, all the sisters out there. And this poem is called In My Sister's House. In my sister's house, a boy plays with what defines his body, an open grammar, a chapter underlined around articles and nouns. The island colors are basted in red. The biker's helmet is red. The sign that announces fresh fish is red, The little gate of spaced strips of imperial wood is red. The belly of the meditating Maritaka is red when the sun aligns itself that way. There is so much blood wrapping definitions. This is called I Suspect. I suspect my sister has been stealing some of my pieces. She makes yellow collages with no seams from photos and plans, grains of future repairs in my soul, as if they were her pure invention. It is late when I finally enter the room where she exhibits our involuntary collaboration. I ask her to give me her hands, and with no fear of gratitude, we work out, stretching the limbs, using the furniture we inherited as our base. I moved to a house like 6 years ago with my husband, and the house has been inspiring many poems. And this is one of them. It's called It's Easy Not to Regret It Now. It's easy not to regret it now, the hours spent regretting. How mothers never said, time is a beginner sculptor, giving back the space it stole at birth. Not sure how to carve its meaning, it follows us to see how we go. And it matters not where we grow, in which soil we die, the between suffering of the unknown. Today, I celebrate backyards, the charm of friends and chimes, this body of knowledge, bearing among the ferns, linearity. This is called interlude. All the mermaids in me close their eyes and cover their ears. But in the middle of the folding machine, the sky unraveled, slipping like a memory that separates from itself, insistent. The sound of the day colored the waves, and they sang. A hinge moment. The day would come into light after 5 a.m. You joined me for coffee, blurred. Within the sacredness of high ceilings, we could see that early, the options of going back or following a natural readiness. What we said doesn't matter. What we promised in our decision to our bodies. Birds in the greens were not confused about their call, and we looked at each other, shadows like auras on the walls. It had been so long since the last time a bad dream had awakened us both. We were not sure this was real. In this new house, we sleep less. It may be the company of the garden or the corridors with glass. We are not more alert or aware. We just love the stairs. In the beginning of the pandemic, I started to write what I thought was going to become a series. I thought no one was going to write love poems or, think about love. Anyway, it was just in those first months. And I wrote a few of them. I wrote a few poems called The Last Love Poem. And of course, other things, were more important, and I stopped thinking about love poems in the pandemic, but I kept them. I still have a few, and I'm going to read two I may go back to them sometime, but anyway, today I'm going to read those two. So they are both called The Last Love Poem. The last love poem was dispatched in the train with the shoes that didn't match. You saw it as heels became flat, the legs extended, the feet closing the gap between grief and relief. The last are not the easiest to lose. The deception of the end, a light crossing us from the opposite direction. Another bundle will come next, socks, maybe a bra or two, or only a hat. Am I living with it? The last love poem didn't come from a poet in prison for life. It was on the hands of a man who drowned just before crossing the border. The water didn't keep it, didn't take it. And this next one is also from the pandemic times, and it's called Not Home. I lost trust in my old friends, preferred the ones who know me now, not before. I lost trust in them. There are reasons for losses, but not for this. No window was left open, no item stolen. No one left an argument in the middle. What used to be called desire is dressed up as comfort, and what light existed in the balcony is turned off when someone approaches. It is not that a death is brewing, it is faith that changed its name and left me busy searching for a new address. Now, the last poem I'm going to read actually is a collaboration. When I found out I was going to read today with Jamie White, I sent him an email and I asked him if he wanted to write something together. And he said yes, he accepted the invitation. And I sent him a few lines like as options for the first line for us to start working together. And he chose one. So it's something so intimate to work like this with someone, you know, that you don't know, you just start writing, and it was really interesting. And so I started the poem with my line, and we worked together in the middle, and he has the last word. So the last word on this poem is Jamie's, and he may be able to explain why he chose this word to end this poem. So it's called Lifelines. And again, thank you so much for coming, for listening. And this is a poem by Jamie White and me. It's called Lifelines. Intimacy of mornings, darkness undressed. Roused from complacency, my soul time travels. My feet feed the light. I'm at the bridge where my father with white stones on the ground drew a line to limit my excursions into the night. Call and response nevertheless continues. Blessed be the little girl lying in the grass, watching clouds. Blessed be the crossway she shows me, susceptible to the future, present, and past. Her imaginings bring me back to what I might leave behind. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia. I am simply blown away. Your work is gorgeous. Thank you for sharing that with us. Really lovely. And I'm guessing Jamie is going to read the second half, or did you read the entire poem?
That's the entire.
That is the entire poem. Okay, thank you. Lovely. All right, Jamie, let me introduce you. Jamie White has been writing since high school. It took a decade for him to find his voice and learn to wrangle with life and death, love and hate, peace and violence, and come up with poems and song lyrics which make day-to-day living easier to cope with. Poetry and art are prayer and therapy for Jamie. The 21st century poets at this reading know this to be the case. This has been the case since ancient people began to draw on cave walls, sing, dance, and chant words that celebrate, mourn, and mark the passing of time. Jamie is a fan of George Washington Carver, who said, "Anything will give up its secrets if you love it enough." Words to live by and write by. As far as Jamie is concerned, reading and writing sure beats shopping. And with that, I give you Jamie White. Jamie?
Thank you very much, Judy and Susanna, for the opportunity to feature. Lucia, it was a whole lot of fun to write with you. I hope we do it again. I want to dedicate this reading to my lovely wife, Anne, who's sitting over there, who's not going to be happy that I drew attention to her. And I'm going to do a poem that I wrote many years ago and said to her, "Here, honey, I wrote this song for you, this poem for you." Beauty Mark, if I were a blind man and you were a painting, I could see each color, succumb to your textures, transfixed by your vision, blessed with sight from your light. And her response was, "That's not about me, that's about you. All your poems are about you." She is smiling, by the way. And hello, Jean. Jeannie, nice to see you. And I want to thank my son for sitting in on this. And I love hanging around with my fellow poets, so I like to say my fellow misfits. This first one is called "A Line is a Dot That Decided to Take a Walk." I borrowed that from Paul Klee. A line is a dot that decided to take a walk. A stain is a crumb that had too much to drink. Stuff falls, more to come. Could be penance, you think. Movement leaves a wake. Cells and dust ring your feet. Mites munch meals we make. Aromas of faint heat. Fickle attraction, whim keeps polka dots spaced. Each whole a fraction, outer interlaced. Here and there and lunch, laughter, hiccups, and a spill. Enough hints prompt a hunch. Have to move, can't sit still. A circle is a line that never ends. Thank you, Paul. Susanna, you ready to read? So this is an old poem that I can't read without bawling my head off, but Susanna's a lot stronger than me, so she's going to read it.
Jamie's poem is titled "Letter from a Child Whose Father Has Been Killed in War." I wish they had cell phones in heaven. I would call you. Mommy says you're too far away. Cell phones don't work in heaven. Maybe someday someone will invent one so I can call you. Or else, when I grow up, I will invent a special cell phone so all the children can talk to their dead daddies, and they can also say hi from all the mommies because they miss the daddies so much, almost as much as the children do. They tell me it is politics that I will understand when I grow up. I don't want to understand. I don't want to grow up. I hate politics. I hate those grown-up reasons we have to go to war. I want to kill those men who killed you, but then their children will cry and be sad and lonely like I am. And I don't want any more children to ever miss their daddy like I miss you. Say hi to God for me. Maybe you can ask God to end all wars. But if God says no, it's up to men and women to decide. Ask God to guide them better. Next time war is about to break out, think about the children first, how they need their daddy and mommy. Don't want to talk to my father. on some stupid cell phone. I need his hugs.
Okay, so here's the story about that song. I was taking a flight to South Africa, which is basically endless. And I was reading a newspaper and they mentioned a little boy told his mom, I want to talk to Dad. So I started on the airplane. I got to the hotel. I went to the restaurant. I'm eating dinner. I'm writing. I'm crying my eyes out. The waiter comes up and goes, "Is there something the matter with the food?" I said, "No, I'm just writing a really sad, sad poem." So he said, "Well, can I see it when you're finished?" And I said, "I'm not sure I'm going to have it finished before I leave, but if I do, you can see it." So 3 nights later was my last meal there. I gave it to him. He started crying. I said, "Okay, I was successful." So the next 2 poems have to do with prompts that I saw when I was driving to work in the morning. First one is called Book in the Road. I was driving my car today and went by a book lying in the middle of the road. There was too much traffic going too fast to possibly stop, so I watched it recede in my side rear view mirror. It had a yellow hardcover and looked like a library book with its protective plastic jacket. How did it get there? Someone must have thrown it out the window. You don't accidentally drop a book like that. Whoever did it must have hated that book. Maybe it was the worst book they ever read, but why not wait until you stop somewhere and then leave it behind? Or if it is a library book, put it in a mailbox. You could give it to someone, anyone, a stranger, or if it's that bad, send it to your worst enemy and inscribe it in such a way they feel compelled to read it, or else live in dread. Could it be that book was too much for the reader to contend with? Its power a portal into a soul troubled by dreams you cannot wake from. You can throw objects, but not thoughts, out the window. Words and phrases with a life of their own. Okay, so driving to work up the hill, Great Neck, Long Island. Absolutely frigid January day. I go by a school bus stop and there's a young girl holding a violin case in her arms. I got to write about this. Creaky knees ain't the worst part. January inflicts winter's ice-blasted pinch. Morning at the bus stop, frozen slush underfoot. Young girl cradles a violin case in her arms. Her embrace protecting the wood and strings within. Girl and violin, one another's instrument. Devotion so vibrant, her soul fingers the strings, plucks and bows, dampens and strokes the hum of youth as I curse winter and the bus that is always late. My feet numb yet hurting, circulation not good. To begin with, I conjure an alternate life on a beach with an exuberant sun baking me, basking in ocean breezes, destined to freeze. Thousands of miles away, where people huddle against face-biting cold, warmed by a young girl's heart. I wish I could have sent this poem to that girl. I'm sure she's a young woman with kids of her own, and maybe one of them plays the violin. I love to write about the seasons, and this is called Circular and Continuous. Summer is that friend you love who never stays around. Autumn is your cousin who looks different every year. Winter is a brute who preys on the elderly and weak. Spring is a lover returning to you one more time. Okay, new poems. Old, new, you know, it's kind of relative. This is a COVID poem. In the wind. Flags have been at half-mast for over a year. Love refuses to forget. It flickers and roars back to life like wind trapped in a canyon that finally frees itself, spiraling up and out. Survivors find strength in the unexpected smile of a passing stranger, unmodulated shrieks of children at play. Birds are undaunted as they trill their pre-dawn songs. Memory eavesdrops on eternity, and weather patterns are susceptible to the slightest easing of sorrow. Thunderstorms in the distance may peter out before they get here. We'll have to wait and see. We long for mundane days and peaceful nights. There will always be obituaries and body counts. Media outlets make sure of that. If it bleeds, it leads. Well-worn, frayed at the edges, a half-mast flag flaps in the wind. And this was a New Year's Day poem. They don't usually come quickly, but over the years, I've known Susanna, and I've kind of learned from her to take advantage of the moment, not overthink things. When I look back, sometimes it seems like only yesterday, other times it feels like a lifetime ago. In these forgetful days, I cling to memories. I find myself smiling, and then the tears start. I go back to the things I cannot change, though I know that memories are a jigsaw puzzle with pieces missing that I recover as other pieces fall off the table and are lost. Forever is a thin blanket I sleep with every night when dreams cast their spell. Fragments of the past reassemble and time reveals itself. Eternity is a mirror we gaze into like children looking out the window on a rainy day, waiting for the sun to come out so we can go out to play. I don't know why I'm reading this as a new poem, because it's so old. When I found it, I didn't even remember writing it, but I figured, what the hell, I'll read it. Here I go again. I'm not myself if I don't have enough to worry about. I'm not content if I am content. It makes me anxious. First up is life and death, the terror of my last breath. Big things, little things, the list goes on and on and on. I know, I should know by now, that worrying solves nothing. I worry about not worrying so much, but still I worry. To worry is much like complaining. It gives me something to do. Circular reasoning, you might say. I've thought of that. Suppose I don't have something to write about. I worry about that. I can always write about not having things to write about, but I've written about that before. Now that I think about it, I'm writing about it now. Repeating myself, repeat myself. I've written hundreds of poems, maybe 1,000, maybe more. Maybe all the poems are really the same poem. Same old, same poem. There I go, repeating myself. Here I go again. And I wrote this this last year and had a lot of fun writing it. As you can hear from what I write about, sometimes they ain't a lot of fun. Love letter to my muse. Why do I always put myself in these situations? Walking naked on a tightrope over the Grand Canyon. Surfing 100-foot waves in a Cat 4 hurricane. Sneaking into a grizzly bear cage at the Bronx Zoo. Here I go again, looking to my muse. to get me through. Offering my services to mediate World War III, agreeing to a boxing match with the heavyweight champ, running with the bulls while wearing a bright red uniform, volunteering to test antidotes for an unknown flu. Here I go again, looking to my muse to get me through. Thinking about the awful things we do to each other, trying to understand what we can never understand. Continuing to write poems that no one will ever hear. Trying to do what I will never be able to do. Here I go again, looking to my muse to get me through. Okay, so now we move to borrowed poems. And I'm borrowing this one from Susanna, a most amazing poet, wonderful friend. So small. My life is so small, it can slide between shafts of sunlight and slip between cracks in a tongue-in groove floor. This life has shrunken so small, it can be folded into the fragrance from my grandmother's silk fan. How the hell did you write that, Susanna? Or be strung up between bits of camp songs and French phrases from school. At night, my Lilliputian life can be suspended in the heat of my dog's breath, or tucked beneath kitchen matches in a box. And on some days, my life is so small, it travels under a postage stamp on a letter bound for Algiers. Yes, Susanna. And this is one from Mr. Lawrence Ferlinghetti from Coney Island of the Mind. Don't let that horse eat that violin, cried Chagall's mother, but he kept on painting and kept on painting the horse with violin in mouth. And when he finally finished it, he jumped up upon the horse and rode away, waving the violin. And then with a low bow, gave it to the first naked nude he ran across, and there were no strings attached. How great is that poem? And then with a low bow, gave it to the first naked nude he ran across, and there were no strings attached. That is a master. Okay, so now a couple of blue poems. This one took many, many months to write, and the title came last. Stop clocks are right twice a day. To love too much and not let go is a fateful act. Every drink you take has an aftertaste of salt. Sporadic barking of dogs disturbs your REM sleep. Daily, turn a corner, walk face first into a spider web. Wipe your eyes, spit out the strands. Comes in myriad forms, the lamentable. Perspective agitates itself so readily. Wake of devastation in a blind man's wink. Tragedy opportunistic as an infection. Death of a child, doctor's fatal error, suicide, overdose, high-speed police chase accidentally kills family of 5. Ordinary, casually callous day in the life. Hurts nursed, lost tossed, love lost, not gone. Unvoiceable thoughts inspire forlorn reflections. Choose a role, victim, instigator, hero. Is it as if that could stop randomness from raining on us? Mundane and trivial embedded with transcendence. Piercing pitch of an ambulance eviscerates makeshift peace. We are sentinels standing watch on our soul's shadows. I'm writing this because I hate politicians, all politicians everywhere. Give me a statesman, give me a stateswoman. Screw all the politicians. I'd rather look through a dirty window than not see at all. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven. A camel would rather squeeze through the eye of a needle than be seen waiting on line with a politician. If a ship filled with politicians suddenly hits an iceberg, possible litigation includes the following scenarios. No survivors, all killed trying to save themselves. One survivor claims to have no memory of what happened. Two survivors who refuse to provide an account of events until they arrange legal counsel and sign a book deal. Three survivors who are considering a class action suit. They request other surviving politicians contact them. If you suspect you are a survivor with amnesia, if you are recently reincarnated and traumatized, are you haunted by buried memories and can't keep a job? Do you have nothing better to do? Plus, maybe you can monetize the tragic situation on your Instagram account. Opportunities await you, and there are more than enough politicians who want your money and your vote. If you're too busy to do both, just send money. Assad, this is a poem that was written in response to a poem I wrote about insomnia, and a fellow poet wrote a poem about my poem about insomnia. So this is the next poem about insomnia. Here we go again. Two poets comparing notes on problems we have sleeping. Tedious, restless hours, drip, drip, drip of thoughtless thoughts. A leaking faucet we can't fix. Up unending regrets and fear, a smoldering, burned out car still lurching its way uphill. Flight or fight is a bad joke, and who the hell needs that now? Faces from the past drift in, squatters we cannot evict, even if we wanted to, even if we could. Would we? Okay, now I'm going to read some haiku, and then I'm going to read Lucia and my poem again. Haiku batch, coins rattling in a beggar's cup. Car engine sputters and backfires. Air vibrates, shudders, helicopter lower than rooftops. Noon siren blares twice, 5 minutes apart. Second time, a real fire. Ice cream truck chimes, kids running, overhead geese honking. Boy runs ahead of mom, looks back to make sure she's still there. Grass growing through concrete, no worms though, ask the birds. Ouch, point up in the dish rack, knife slices my thumb. We are not lost, just misguided by my sense of direction. Here's a batch of haiku from 2009. Coldest room, farthest from the furnace. Fear response, startled awake, phone rings late at night. Full moon over Home Depot, empty parking lot. Garbage spilled overnight, morning birds eating watermelon rinds. Life-saving operation, vegan gets a pig's heart valve. Chased by bulls, people running down the streets. On a conveyor belt, cows moving toward a slaughter chute. Up and down the block, child on her tricycle, mom follows behind. Spinning until dizzy, falling down laughing, 5-year-old birthday boy. Rain clouds overhead, darkness at midday, raccoons emerge from storm drains. Yesterday's mudslide, fossils half exposed, 20 million years old. Lowest prices ever. Everything must go. All exits final. All right, now I'm going to reread this wonderful poem. And I am thankful to Lucia for suggesting that we collaborate, and hope we do it again. You go first next time. You went first this time, you go first next time. Lifelines, intimacy of mornings, darkness undressed. Roused from complacency, my soul time travels. My feet feed the light. I am at the bridge where my father, with white stones on the ground, drew a line to limit my excursions into the night. Call and response nevertheless continues. Blessed be the little girl lying in the grass, watching clouds. Blessed be the crossway she shows me, susceptible to the future, present, and past. Her imaginings bring me back to what I might leave behind. Amen. And Lucia, I thought amen was the right word to conclude the poem, because this poem is really a prayer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie. And let's just unmute for 1 second and thank Lucia and Jamie for their wonderful reading. Thank you so much, both of you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Great. Appreciate that so much.